Welcome to Spirits Are Talking, hosted by Lisa Silverman. Join us every Tuesday night for live on-air psychic medium readings, crystal energy healings, oracle card readings, chakra balancing, and so much more. Host Lisa Silverman is a natural-born intuitive, psychic, medium, and spiritual life coach, working professionally in the metaphysical healing arts since 2015. Lisa communicates with loved ones and pets that have passed on for emotional healing and answers. Not to mention, she is an established interior designer since 2009, focusing on feng shui, modern design, and house healings by creating a harmonious energy flow for her clients. Now, your host of Spirits Are Talking, Lisa Silverman.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know you could be anywhere in the world, whether you're listening to it live or on replay. I'm so grateful that you're here and listening, whether it's in person or later. I wanted to just honor that I really enjoy doing this, and I know that there's more followers and more listeners, and I'm so grateful for that. And I try and cover all kinds of different topics. And tonight we're going to talk about childhood wounds or wounding and where does that come from. And I'm so excited because I have a very special guest. Her name's Lynn Patner. She is MSW, and Lynn is described as a kind-hearted warrior. Lynn Patner is a reiki practitioner, certified hypnotherapist, social worker, and youth advocate for San Mateo County and Children Family Services, which is amazing. Lynn's main mission is to assist others as they journey through life with her teaching, private sessions, workshops, and seminars. Lynn will share necessary tools and techniques for creating a joyful, healthy life. I love that. So I want to welcome Lynn. Come on up. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Never better.
Love it. Can you speak up a little bit, though?
Yes. I think everything's working. I hope so.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good.
So it's so nice to see you. I just want to talk a little bit about what you do as well. And you're amazing, and you encourage students and clients to experience the brilliance in their own inner light, right? You aim to awaken them and their unlimited potential and individuality. Everyone is born with a reason, and each person has unique gifts to share to the world. Amen to that.
Right.
So our goal is, our time together will be healing and emotional, maybe, and undoubtedly exciting and interesting is what I'm putting out there. I always love being in your company. So thank you. Let's talk.
Thank you. Okay. I like this kitchen table wisdom. It's like Naomi, I think her name was Naomi Renner. Anyway, she wrote a book called Kitchen Table Wisdom.
Oh, interesting.
And it was a long time ago. And it's wisdom that you get as you are on this path of enlightenment, as you step onto it in your own grubby self.
Mm-hmm. And when did you do that?
Well, basically, I think that let me start in the beginning of everything.
Please.
What I know, this is what I know now. This is really what I know. And I'll tell you where I started and how it happened. But this is, to me, is the most important message I have. So if you can imagine the ocean, and you know how big the ocean is. It's huge, right?
Yes.
Take one drop out of the ocean and you put it on the side. Is that still the ocean, even though it's a drop? Is it the ocean?
Yeah.
Okay. That's who we are. God, or the divine being, is this energetic, loving, kind energy, pure, wonderful, vibrating energy. And we are a dot from the divine. And we're all born for a reason. The first reason is to remember who we are and why we're here.
And you mean on a soul level?
You are when you decide that you really want to be curious and find out, what is this woman talking about? And you say, okay, I'm open to possibilities, and you pay attention, your life radically will change. When I started my work teaching the artist's way, we were all together on the path. And I liked working with a group because as we learned together. And it was always, OMG, can you believe this is happening? So we learned about all of this beginning stuff. And there was something that we had to do. It was two things. It was to write your morning pages, which is stream of conscious writing, and a play date. And I was a social worker for child welfare.
Which is amazing. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. That's really why I work with children, and everybody's a child. So nobody's an adult in my world. So here is the message I received in 96. And believe me, guys, I did not know what this message meant. I thought, OMG, this is so cool. It just popped out of my brain. Ooh. So here's what I wrote. I'm in a dictation booth at the Department of Social Services, and I'm writing morning pages. And this is what was said. There are so many hurting people in the world, all trying to tap their way out of a shell and emerge healthy. So many barriers. Look to do this work joyfully. Don't be your own worst friend. Of course I was, okay? So I just want to get that out of the way now. I was my own worst friend. Remember, you are doing the best you can with the tools you have. Allow this process to go on and get out of the way, especially if you are not serving yourself. Always remember you are not alone. There are many entities around who are assisting people in their growth toward the light. They may not be aware of it at first, but the moments of synchronicity are too numerous for the unfolding conscious mind to ignore. It is truly the wonderful, all the positive growth through pain and the emergence of a new spiritual being that will shed light on people in their own way. One must experience the pain and anguish in order to see it as only a momentary stop off in life before they get on with the real work of living. There is a plan for everyone, and everyone must take the journey alone. That was by my guide. I had no idea I had a guide. I had no idea where this came from, but I was so high. That was my work.
Yeah.
That was my work.
That was what cracked you open, sounds like.
No, what cracked me open was before this. I got cracked open by some vicious dogs in front of a house in Woodside, and I met a person who was a foreigner who could send energy from his aura to your aura, healing energy. And I was basically Donna Reed, and I went as a skeptic. I'm a double Gemini with a Scorpio ascent, and I didn't believe any of this bullshit.
Scorpio moon.
Scorpio, no, ascending. Gemini moon, Gemini.
Oh, okay, got it.
So I'm a very inquisitive. Anyway, what started that was my curiosity when I was told in my head to shut up and be quiet by something. It wasn't in the room, it was in my head. And I did. And then I had a surge of this incredible energy go through me. And it was like the 4th of July. And that was something I said, I got to find out what this is. This came in 96. That started in 94.
That's fantastic.
So that's for everybody.
Yeah, we're all on a spiritual path. I mean, I said it so many times, we're souls having a human experience. Yep. And the only way to grow as a soul is to be in a body to experience all these things in Earth School. That's what I call it. We're in Earth School. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it is Earth School. And what happens is, as a little kid from the ages of 0 to 8, you get wounded. And it may not be by your parents, because mine wasn't. It was by my experience at Hyde Park School for Little Children. And
what happened?
You know, I grew up, I was 3 years old, and I lived in this great apartment building where everybody played with me because there were no other kids in the building. So I would go to everybody's house and I'd boss them. Let's play this, let's do this, let's blah, blah, blah. So now I'm going to school and the big yellow bus comes and I say, oh, can't hardly wait. And I get on the yellow bus and off we go to school, Hyde Park School for Little Children in Chicago, Illinois. And I get off and I go into the school, and they have those huge blocks, and they had easels with paint. And then I saw the coup de grace, a real life dollhouse. Refrigerator, stove, bunk beds, dolls, carpet, table, 4 chairs. I was like, OMG, I can hardly maintain myself. And I went into that dollhouse and bossed all the kids around, and no one would play with me. And I
Wow.
didn't know why. So what happened was there's something wrong with me.
Interesting.
Wounds start early. So that wound festered into I'm not enough. So if you had 24 hours, I could take you through my life where that wound on the back seat of my car was directing my experiences. Because your wounds that are there, especially when it comes to child abuse and neglect, you have to work with professionals. There is no question about that, because those wounds are deep. And the worst wound is if your mom doesn't believe you. And I've said that on other radio shows, and that has assisted people that have had that happen to them. So I am very familiar with abused children.
Right. And so, what's the consequence, like, if your mom doesn't believe you, of you mean of an assault or abuse? You mean, or just or on any level?
Well, if your mom doesn't believe you, you feel you are such a victim. It's terrible. If your mom believes you, you have an advocate. If she doesn't believe you, you're by yourself. And from the ages of 0 to 8, I had a client once, and here's an example of a wound, kids. She's a lovely lady. I adore this woman. And when she was born, she was just, the mother and father thought she was the greatest baby in the world, because they would put her to bed with a bottle at 6 o'clock at night, and they didn't hear her cry, and they thought she was so wonderful. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, they would get up and get her out of bed. Now, if you all have had children, even if you didn't, what happens? So the baby gets up to cry. They either poopy pants, wet pants, they want their bottle, they want comfort, and they cry. And nobody comes, right? So what do? They cry harder. And then they cry harder. And then they go into rage. And then they give up. She's 42 years old. When anything bad happened to her, she fell to the floor and crumbled.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's a wound. Once you see your wounds and you say, wow, look at that wound. I didn't know I had a wound. I have more than one wound, but all the wounds I have are based on the original wound.
Right.
Yeah, which is amazing to me. And what I try so hard, it's, if you look at it, you find it. And, I work with that. I work with you with that.
Right.
Finding that wound and then saying to the wound, at 3 years old, at 7 years old, I didn't have any tools to deal with this. I made my decision based on what I felt at the time. And as a little kid, you feel betrayed, you feel all alone, you don't feel wanted, you feel like nobody cares. And the most important one is you don't feel enough. You're not thin enough, rich enough, pretty enough, any enough. And so no matter how hard you try, and then there's the overachievers. And I did a class with Jack Canfield. I had an interview with him, and he's telling me he had the same wound, but he was an overachiever. Once you see your wounds, which everybody has, that's when I call in the pause. You put a little comma there and you say, okay, this first half of my life was basically created by something I had nothing to do with. It was done to me, and I made a decision based on this. Right?
Wow.
All my beliefs, all my programming, my religion, my culture, my friends, the society, that's all here. And that has to be looked at. Doesn't have to be experienced, looked at. And then there's the pause. I love the pause, because once you have a pause, you don't lose your wounds. You just know they're there. And when they pop their little shitty heads up, you say, oh, look, aren't you wonderful? You've come to ruin this. but I'm not going to buy that anymore. And you create the life you want to have.
So you recognize that, oh, this emotion stems from that core childhood wound.
Your emotions are teachers. Your
Mhm.
emotions teach you what's not working in your life. You always want to look at the emotion. And
Right.
that the second part of it is when you and I and others ask your guides, what's this all about? Why
Yeah.
am I so angry?
Finding the answer is not the easiest part, right?
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it takes time.
Right.
But
And
you
therapy.
but your gut, no, not necessarily. So I hate, I mean, we haven't rehearsed this, but and I am a blah, 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 blah person. But cut me off anytime you
No, no,
want.
no, I have some questions. I just hear some outside sound, but, well, no, I love it. It's like we all have a core wound, you know, one of mine, right? And
Yeah.
so with that core wound that happens at like 3, that stays with you your whole life, you
From
don't
0
realize.
to 8, 0 to 8
Yeah.
usually.
So that's what I mean, excuse me, thank you. From 0 to 8, and then, it's what interesting because at 8 years old is when your crown chakra closes, you know?
I
Um,
don't know anything about that.
Okay, well, it's what happens when you are receiving and when kids have recall of past lives and stuff like that. So the crown chakra starts to close at the age of 7 or 8. But these wounds that we feel of rejection or not being popular enough or worthy enough, they really embed in you. Even if you've had an amazing, you know, childhood with, like, for me, I had an amazing father who filled me up in so many ways, right? That doesn't compensate. Part of your life that's so amazing and great doesn't eradicate that core wound. Is that right?
You're born here, your soul's come for a mission. Your soul has come to the planet Earth, which is a 3 dimension. It's hard here. It's gravity, you know. And what your soul's come is to learn who you are and why you're here. But
Right.
you are downloaded with all this stuff, and then you have to climb out to see the golden heart within you. That's
Exactly.
that's the job. But
Right. And that's
it
the that's the hard part. I mean, I've taught my kids, you know, like life puts post-it notes on us that you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, maybe you're not, maybe you're this. And so it's our job to peel those post-it notes off and say, that doesn't belong to me. That's not mine. That's not who I am. That's not true. That's not
But what happens, and this happens time and time again, I'm old now and I see this all. I'm a listener to stories. I've been trained to listen to stories of people to see who
right.
they are, why they're here, and what they're creating. I can tell you your life when you tell me about yourself, what you've done.
I love that.
Because it's my work. And so what happens is that even though you're conscious, you're not really conscious. And the wounds are so buried that it took at 3, I had the wound. At 68, I was taking this seminar with Jack Canfield with 17 other people, and I had to present my work the next day. I had an anxiety attack. I ended up in the hospital. Do you know why?
Oh my God.
And I thought I was having a heart attack. So
Wow.
here's so
Terrible.
here's a Jewish woman's heart attack. Oh my God, something's going on. I can't breathe. I'm having a heart attack. Okay, I get up and I take an aspirin. And I say, I'm not going to call the fire department or 911 because it'll wake up all my neighbors. And well, what about my dog? And I'll just wait for my daughter. So it's 7:30. I call my daughter and say, hi, Ronna, what's going on? What's happening? Nothing, Mom. I said, what are you doing today? I'm going to go for my COVID test. I said, oh, that's great. Could you take me to the hospital? I think I'm having a heart attack.
Oh
She
my
said, I'll take a shower and I'll be right there. So she goes, takes a shower, brings me to the hospital. My blood pressure was 180 and something. I had nothing wrong with me. I was having an anxiety attack based on a wound. I'm not enough. They won't like my work. They won't like, I am not as good as the rest of them. That was the wounded 3.
wow.
And I have worked on this stuff. So everybody listening, it's not a one-time deal.
Oh, oh my
Now,
God.
now there's no frigging way I will listen to that wound. It comes up. It comes
Yeah.
up.
Then you just say, no, that's not my reality. That was the past.
I don't
Because
even say that. I laugh at it and say, go back. You're not helping me here. I don't even say that stuff to me. I know who I am and why I'm here. And that's why I want to be able to assist people the level I'm at now, I have total faith in everything that happens to me. And
That's
I'm not
awesome.
attached to outcome.
Right. And
That's a gift.
that's the gift. Absolutely. And a little bit about my background. I've been on the spiritual path since I can remember. Okay.
Yep.
I was raised with a very woo-woo mother, very progressive, was hypnotized when I was 16, past life regressions, went to holistic doctors and everything. And so the person that really helped me change my life was Louise Hay when I was about 13. My mom gave me the book, You Can Heal Your Life. Like, here, now that I've done my job, here you go. Now fix yourself. Even better, right?
That was great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I got a lot of very rich books. So being on a spiritual path has been always part of my life, and always uncovering. I'm a Scorpio, I'm in Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, always looking at the mystery of things. And what you said about the faith, and it's true, and I do have a lot of faith, and sometimes I lose my faith, like, because we're human, get back on track. But the truth is not being attached to the outcome, because the form, it's the essence, not necessarily the form, right?
You never know how it's going to come to you.
Right.
You just don't know. You ask for something and you say to your guides, like, I was having problems with a friend and I didn't know how to handle it. So I was in chair aerobics and I said, okay, guys, I need help down here. I don't know how to handle this. I'm not happy about it. And I could feel myself being really nasty, which is not a place I want to be, because I'm coming from love and light, right?
Sure.
So you know what? The song came on. The next song that came on was the Beatles. Mother Mary says to me, let it be, let it be.
Yeah.
Well,
Message.
when you're aware of if you're aware of what you asked for, you get it in bizarre ways. And if you don't get what you want, it's still what you need. So as I said to you today, sometimes you don't get your answer. Sometimes the answer you get, you don't want to hear.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And there, like you said earlier, like, I mean, obviously I'm a medium and I channel a lot of people, and I've had the blessing to channel a lot of souls and connect people and dynamics. Like I did a session today, the family dynamics come out. We are all born with guardian angels and guides and ancestors and archangels and God, the divine, the higher power, the higher source, whatever you want to name it. There's a million roads to that light, right? There's a lot of roads to God or the universe.
Well, God is just, we name it God, but it's an energy force.
Exactly.
Vibrate in it. And I learned on my journey, there's no such thing as judgment, because in my line of work, working with abuse and neglect, and I had met a channeler who was an out-of-body channel, very powerful, I decided I was going to complain to God. So I made an appointment for it. I paid $125 to complain to God, because I didn't know I had that power. And how do you get dressed to go to complain to God? So it took me about an hour and a half to figure out what I was going to wear to go complain to God, right? So I go to her house. I'm sitting there and I'm shaking. I'm going to complain to God. And I don't remember her name. Her name was Teresa, but she was an out-of-body channel. And she channeled Sekhmet and Brahman, big Hindu entities. And I was sitting there and she said, and you've come for? I said, I've come to tell God I'm not happy with the way things are being done in the world down here. These children should not be abused. I mean, I went on. I don't know what I did for my $125. And the lesson for me was, it wasn't my job to judge.
Yeah.
I didn't know why they were born, why they're here, and what their karma had been.
That's so freeing when I hear things.
You can't tell that to real abused people, which you may have some on the line. It's not your fault. Abuse is never your fault.
Never.
It may be a lesson. I don't know.
Yeah,
but you're a wonderful human being. You're here the same way I am. Other people have these things happen. People have this happen. So we wear our scars inside and outside.
Exactly. And, I want to just share some of the things that you've quoted. Most of us live our lives unconsciously. We have a purpose, a destiny, a chosen path that's uniquely our own.
Mhm.
We're all deserving of goodness and love, absolutely. And yes, our lives are embodied with stories that mark us in some way, which take time to be addressed, like experiences, right?
Right.
We all carry life experiences that created wounds and wound within our souls too, which I want to touch on. And yet we only never know our existence or how they even got here in the first place. Most of us don't, but we're learning, right?
Right.
Most of us live our lives unconsciously harboring life experiences with both visible and invisible wounds.
But you have to become aware, because if you're not aware, you keep recreating the wound. It's
Right.
like people in relationships. You know what they say? Oh, I just love this man, or I love this woman. She's so wonderful. They're people, the same people you left before with different shoes. So you have
Exactly.
to be able to look, what am I manifesting in my life? Do I like the story I'm running, or do I need to pause and recreate another story? And that takes the work.
And
And you
what is
ask for help.
and what does that look like?
It looks really good, because you sit down and you say, okay, you reflect. So what I usually do is I have, uh, if I lead another seminar, I love this thing. I learned at Nest. You create a room in your mind. Just sense imagine that you have this room, and all you need in your room is a chair or a sofa, a stage, and a big screen, television screen. Okay, and you sit there. You can have plants in it. You can have a gold piano in it. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you want. You can have a waterfall. Create a room that's only for you. No one else can ever go in that room unless they're invited. And then sit down and review your life. As your life starts, sit there and say, all right, from zero, some things happen in wombs. Okay, from zero to two. Is there anything in thy slides? Have a slide drawer, just pretend there's slides here. Anything popping up that you can put on your screen and look at? Oh, I something happened here. I don't know what happened. And go through all of those 8 years with the slides and see what they project on there, if
Wow.
they project at all. You also, before you even do this work, there's one other caveat that S didn't have at the time. You sit down and you say, okay, I would like to invite my guides, my angels, and my archangels and master beings, who's ever working with me at the level I'm at, because you get worked with as the level goes up. So my guide is always with me. They're babysitters, they're born with you. But
Exactly.
I have higher level guides now,
Of
because
course.
my grandfather was my guardian angel. And that's a great story too that I have in my book. It was hysterical, as a matter of fact.
Can you
But
say the name of your book, please?
what?
The name of your book?
Oh, The Awakened Soul, Discovering the Light Within. It's my journey. But I was told to let my grandfather go.
Interesting.
I was told that I needed to let him go because he was stopping me. He wasn't going with me on that journey. And I loved him. I thanked him. I kissed him, and I went on. So that's what I've learned. I don't know if that's true. I can only teach what I've learned.
Exactly. Me too. I agree with that. When I was 8 years old, just about letting someone go. When I was 8 years old, my great grandmother passed away. My mom's mother. I adored her so much.
Uh-huh.
And on the same weekend, my dad's father passed away. Okay. So it was a real loss on both sides of the family, like shocker. So with my grandfather, there was a huge service, the whole black limos, the whole Jewish thing, cemetery, everything. And with my mama Sophie, who I adored, there was nothing. I guess we weren't. I was told just last 5 years that we weren't allowed to go as kids. So I never
Oh,
had like that closure with her. But what she did is she was around me all the time. I absolutely adored her. She created this S in my soul between my chest and my back. And I would feel her name was Sophie. I would feel her about 8 times a year, the swirl. I knew the swoosh. And I
uh-huh.
knew it was her and I'd have the chills. Well, then fast forward, I had my baby. I knew I was having a baby girl and I wanted to name her Sophie. When he ended up compromising, naming her Selena. Turns out that my great grandmother's maiden name was Celine. which I had no idea about.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was her guardian angel.
That was my guardian angel. And then I had my baby.
Yeah. And then she went to your daughter.
And then my daughter is my great grandmother, actually literally reincarnated 1,000%. So I never felt that swoosh again. My daughter's like back to relive with me. It's so interesting. But souls don't stay with you. Entities, I don't want to say that. Spirit guides don't all stay with you your entire life. Some come in, it's like friendships.
Your original one does. The one
Yeah.
that comes in with you as a babysitter in your life.
When
That's your main guy. That's your main guy.
Right. So what I know to be true is that you have these guides that are when you're in the in between worlds before you come into this body, and when you take a breath, when your first breath, they are with you, and there's 2 or 3. It depends. So that's and they've never been in a body before.
But that's been your experience and
That's
thing. Yeah. And I think that's great because everyone's going to have a different experience.
Absolutely. But everyone needs to know that we all have guides. We all
Yep.
have
We
guides.
all have them.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's the main thing.
You know, I had one case where there was this little girl, I'll call her Ellen, and it was raining and cold and everything. And the school called me to tell me she came to school in a short sleeve shirt and a shorts and some of those jellies. You remember the jelly shoes the kids used to wear? And
Yep.
her mom was an addict, and I guess she fell off the wagon. So I went to pick this little girl up. And so I said, I always ask my kids, do you believe in fairies or angels? I said, do you believe in angels? And she said, yes, my grandfather's my angel. And she went on to tell me everything they met before she came here, and that he said he would always take care of her no matter what.
Yep.
And so I said, well, let's invite your grandfather. We'll go to McDonald's for lunch, and then we'll go to the movies. And so that's what we did. We had a date with her grandfather. And I then placed her with her grandmother. And I said, this is what Ellen told me. And she said, she remembers. She said, yeah. She said, she remembers a time when Ellen was 3 years old and found out her grandfather wasn't living, that he had passed away, that she couldn't be consoled.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I found out. See, these stories that I did, you find out this little piece of the puzzle here, a little piece of the puzzle there. Yeah. And that's when all of you listening to this call, get a big notebook and say, I'm open for puzzle pieces. Let me see them, and write down the ones you have already, because it's so much fun. Even the blips where you're not happy with what you're getting some of your best lessons are the worst experiences you've had.
I know.
You will not do that to your children. You've learned that so many things from those lessons.
Exactly. And breaking the chain of things is really important.
Yes, as we talked about today. You heal seven generations on your mother's side of the family. As you heal 7 generations.
Exactly. I know. And I do in my coaching guided meditations regarding that, healing 7 generations and stuff, breaking cycles. And it's so healing and so
you
true.
Do a great job, Lisa. You absolutely do a great job. And you have the ability to communicate with a level of individuals that have messages for those down here. And that's a gift.
Thank you so much.
And that's a gift for you to do.
And I was born that way. And only recently, as you know, so I was kicked out of the spiritual closet by Joe at the Apple store. And now I do it for, all around the world. And I've channeled thousands of souls. And it's such an honor and a privilege to do that. And I knew that I was always connected. I knew when I was a little girl that I was never afraid to die. Like I wasn't afraid to die. I don't want to die young. I remember that. But I knew that there was so much growth on that side too. Like this is the hard stuff. And I knew that really young, a sense, and it wasn't because I was depressed, because I was the happiest kid in the world. I was a very happy child, born very happy. So I just knew that there was more to life than right now.
But see, I didn't. And I remember walking home from O'Keefe School on the south side of Chicago saying, when you die, and I must have been 7 or 8. My dad died when I was 12. Maybe I was 10. When you die forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Scared the bejesus out of me. It scared me. It really did. And I remember that walk, and I remember feeling that way. And then I remember that all the lessons I learned about you don't die. And that also was part of the puzzle pieces. And I was taught that. So
Yes.
we're taught things so magnificently. I mean, it it's such a treasure trove of experiences for people that
Mhm.
all I want to do is, and you too, share the light and love we have for their journeys because they're so remarkable.
And addressing the wounds. I have a couple comments here. Someone, Lee says, love the pause. And then Tempo says, being aware is very hard. Someone said, great discussion. And how is being aware hard? Because is it not listening to your intuition? Someone says,
No,
love.
because you're unconscious. Most of us are unconscious. Being aware is hard. They're right. It is hard.
Mhm,
You have to set your intention.
exactly. And
You
what
know,
is
what's happening is if you look at your emotions, let's say you're having a great day, and then something goes askewed, or people say Monday, it's Monday, it's going to be a shitty day Monday. Well, how do you know it's going to be a shitty day Monday?
my Monday starts on Tuesday?
Yeah, but you know what? People do that. And the truth is you don't know it's going to be a bad Monday. So if awareness is becoming conscious, and as you learn to do this, as you practice like anything else, you
Yes.
become more and more aware. Curiosity, ask your guides to assist you. You don't have to do this work alone. If there's one thing my book, and this sounds so egoic, and it's not, what it taught me to teach others was that you are no different than I am. I was Donna Reed, and I became a transformational life coach. And how did that happen?
Mhm.
What was that? What happened? And the awareness and the following and the saying, what's next?
Exactly. I
It's
get it.
a joyful journey, even though sometimes it sucks. But we're
Ex-
here for you guys. So, Lisa's here. I'm here. Deepak Chopra's here.
Hmm.
All of them, all of the teachers are here. Carolyn Meese, one of my favorite
I
people.
love her. You
Yeah,
know, I've always been a student of spirituality. I just have. So I don't remember like not knowing. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
But what
remember not knowing.
I remember when I was 3, when I was traumatized at 3,
Yeah,
I remember my
yeah.
first wound, not knowing and freaking out, like screaming and, whatever, and having that meltdown. But then I had more of an awareness, I guess. But it's only in the last, years where all that, and it's not just me, it's for all of us, all that wisdom and life experiences create the knowledge, right? To share.
And so the question was awareness. When you set your intention, well, you sit back and you say, yeah, this sounds pretty interesting. I have nothing else to do. Let's see where this goes. Let's see if I can do these puzzle pieces and have fun doing them. And if I get stuck, well, maybe I'll call in a guide and say, hey, y'all, I'm sitting down here now. I'd like some help. You will not be helped unless you request it because you live in a free will community. You live in a free will planet. So you say, hey, I would like to have a little help down here, God, or
Right.
Jesus, or Mary, or I don't care who you call. And then they hop off the sofa, the champagne bottle opens, all the bombs float. We're going for it, or we're going for him.
And and that's what I love. And on that note, I'd like to pull an oracle card for all of us. Okay.
Okay.
Because an oracle card is a divination system. And I want to just say, like, what do we need to know about healing our childhood wounds?
Okay.
About
Great.
that? Like, what do we need to know? And I love the oracles because they tap into the dominant energy, and this is a perfect segue to pull one since I didn't at the beginning. And I love all this discovery and sharing with you. I think you're amazing.
Ditto.
Thank you. So I want to pull a card for all of us. Like, there's so many ways to tap in. Meditation's really important for me to connect to my higher power, and that's what it is. It's the higher power, right?
And I do automatic writing.
Yeah,
Meditation doesn't work as well for me unless it's guided meditation.
right. Yeah, of course, me too, a lot. But also, automatic writing's phenomenal. I love to write and burn. So I'm going to pull a card as a collective. Whoever's here listening, live or in the replay. What do we need to know about healing our childhood wounds as a collective? It's interesting. It's the yang and protection. So it's the yang card, which is card number 1. the first step. So card number 1 came out of protection. It's the masculine principle and creative activity, the power to make things happen, taking action. Interesting.
That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. You can't make this shit up. The protection piece is being mindful of the tendency toward any impulsive action, overconfidence, and aggressive behavior. Think before you act, and don't find yourself in a situation that's uncomfortable consequences. Be sure you really want what you're chasing after, and for the discovery to appear. The appearance of this card isn't cause for fear, for life is all about learning lessons, practice temperance, diplomacy, thoughtful consideration before making any moves. How does that resonate for you?
Perfect. Perfect.
Isn't it?
And that's a tool people can use too. I when in the beginning of this whole thing, I would run upstairs. I saw an angel in my kitchen window once, a real angel. And I'm looking at the angel. I'm looking at the tree. I'm looking at the angel. What's going on here? It was young. There's an angel. What am I supposed to do? There's an angel in my kitchen window. I ran upstairs and pulled angel cards because I didn't know what else to do. And
That's
of course,
great.
the angel. But in the beginning of my journey, I used angel cards, and I also used the tarot. And I still use it occasionally. What's happening in my life? What do I need to learn? Because we talked about this. We're human beings in process. So we're no better than anybody else. We're just in process. And we're at a different stage. Maybe it's lower, higher, in between, whatever, than a lot of different people. But everybody's on their own personal stage, and everybody's at the right place at the right time. And that's a gift. So you don't have to worry about, am I not there? You don't have to use my stuff. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Blah, blah, whatever. You are perfect the way you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just on a path of growing to being the light being that you are, coming from love and light. And
Exactly.
I have to share one story. I have to do this. Do we have time? Do we have time for this?
Of course.
Carolyn Me said this, and I believe that and this is why we need to be in a hurry a little bit. We all experienced the pandemic, right? Everybody all over the world experienced the pandemic. We are all experiencing what's called nuclear bombs, nuclear war, which has the ability to wipe out the entire planet. Because we have a bunch of sociopathic individuals who are the head of these governments, Korea and Russia and other places that used to have one, thinking that they were king of the mountain, and they're scary. And they would use it because they don't like what's going on. And the only antidote for that, according to her, and what I totally believe in is true, is finding who you are, finding out that you are a divine being, having a human experience, open your heart to love and light.
Exactly.
And that energy, because
excuse me,
one candle in a dark room illuminates the room. You want some water? I don't want to have you take your voice away. Would you like a glass of water?
No, I have some.
Okay. So
absolutely. Shine our light.
Why this is important is almost you have to fake it till you make it. So I believe that if you do one kind thing a day for people, you will up your ante. So consciously set your intention to let the person go in the store, let someone cross over you in line. Consciously say, I'm going to be kind today. And not that you're not a kind person, because I get that I'm really a kind person and I don't know what you mean. Set your intention.
So I'm going to do random acts of kindness.
Random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
And smile and smile.
And smile.
And it's rewarding because what you put out, you get.
Absolutely. And the pandemic changed so many people, and it made people very angry. So it was like wherever place we were then, we're backwards, and we have to catch up a little bit and share more love and more light. And
your thoughts create your reality. That's one of the major things I learned.
Exactly. Thoughts are things.
Thoughts are energetic.
Absolutely.
You have choice. You can either come from negativity, which we all have people that are negative, and they're also energy robbers because all they want you to do is listen to the BS that happens to them all the time. Because if they have a negativity gene running in them, they're only going to get more negative people with them, and they're going to have more negative experiences. How are you? Well, let me tell you
Yeah.
what happened to me the other day. And then
Right.
you have your victims.
And no one wants to hear it.
Nobody.
Nobody
And
wants to
and
hear
as
it.
you get clear on who you are and why you're here, you don't need that in your life. So you just say, put them on another train, take them off your train, put them on another train, wave at them, wish them love, light, and blessings, and you will not be attached to them anymore. You may see them at a party, you may see them at an event. Hi, how are you? Great. You leave. You are not attached to anything they do or say. They're on another train. And it's so freeing.
That
That's a
is very
tool,
free.
everybody.
So you're referring to someone that's hurt you in your life, a relationship that broke up.
The relationship isn't good anymore. The person isn't supporting you. You don't want to be with people who don't support who you are. We're all human works in progress. You don't need someone saying, like I had in my life, this is bullshit. This is not, what are you doing? This is so stupid.
I've heard that too, and I'm like, okay, this is my purpose, and we're not on the same wavelength. So okay, we're different.
Oh, but see, you're younger and you could do that. My feelings were hurt.
Mine have been hurt too, a lot. It's so interesting because we talked about that earlier today.
Yeah.
When you're on your path, and this is what I know to be true also, is when you're on your path like you are and I am, and I have been like you for a long time, we sometimes trigger other people because of our light, and they don't like what our reflection is on them. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to look inside. They don't want to do it.
And then I bless them.
Absolutely. That's fine.
Yeah.
But, it's still our, as light workers, to raise the consciousness.
Right.
And
And as you raise your consciousness and your vibration, you will attract more loving and light beings to you, because that's the reflection. We reflect each other.
mirror each other in a
That's the
lot
word.
of ways,
That's
right?
the word. Yes.
Mirror each other. Give us another tip on, once you said automatic writing helps identifying your core wound, whether it was from 0 to 8 is when it would happen. And then how do you break the pattern in like a minute? Like you said, that people will come in the same person dressed in a different outfit, teaching you the same lesson that you thought you learned 3 freaking times ago, right?
Well, what I do, there's one thing I will gift. I will give 20 minutes of my time to anybody who seriously wants to work on a wound that we can get to. I can listen and find out your wound that you can then work on. I will gift that to you.
That's so nice. And where do they find you? At lynnpatner.com?
lynnpatner.com or lynnpatner@gmail.com. That's my Gmail.
Okay.
And put your name and just say help. But I have been on lots of radio shows, and maybe 15, not a lot, 15, 16 radio shows. And I always say that. I do. And I've only had 2 people take me up on it. I think there's a fear base. But I have to tell you something, guys. I love anyone that's choosing to be on a path.
Me
There's
too.
just a natural love for you.
Absolutely.
I know that it was not easy, and that I'm here to push you along, and 20 minutes of pushing you along will send you to somebody else or a book or something that will help you grow.
I love it. And all your information is in the show notes. Someone asked the question, should I wait for a friend to apologize, or do I need to? From Andrea.
Well, it depends on the situation. I always believe what Michelle Obama said, take the higher road.
Yeah.
It ain't going to hurt.
There's less traffic there.
Yeah. There's less traffic there. I love that saying.
There is. I would say, my dad would say, take the high road, there's less traffic.
And that's perfect. Always take the higher road. Don't wait for anybody.
And when you do, and you feel the wiggles and you feel uncomfortable, and that you're going to be confronting or whatever, and you're just going to be yourself, when you take the high road and reach out to someone that's uncomfortable, that's the growth. That's for you, right?
Uh-huh.
Not for the other person. It's
It is
for you.
absolutely for you, but it also is that of just the other. What's very important in relationships, and this is great. This is great in any kind of relationship you have. This is a big tool. When you usually get in an argument with somebody, well, I remember these days, and you're not listening to what they're saying. You're too busy programming what you're going to say and retort to whatever they said. So what I learned as a social worker and now as a human being is that I listen to the person that's talking to you. Then say, I want to tell you what I heard, so I got it right, to make sure I got it right. And then then I want to speak afterwards. But it's not this tit for tat stuff.
I agree.
It's ridiculous. So the tool is, pardon me, listening to the other person, acknowledging what they say, because then they're not angry. If you don't listen to another person and you come back with some sort of retort, that goes into rage.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a CPS social worker talking to a 300-pound Tongan man, angry that you have his kid, and it's dark, and
So
you're outside.
you're a good listener. You've been trained, which is awesome. So if anyone wants to reach out to Lynn, please feel free to. We're going to have to wrap up the show in a minute. So you can stay back here with me, Lynn, for a minute. That'd be great. Don't leave. Everyone, thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you so much for your wisdom.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. LynnPatner.com. Hearts, stay on your path. Thoughts are things. Set your intentions. And when you do the wound work, you don't have to stay in the dirty diaper of the wound. You can notice it and let it pass by, right? And then you can automatic write and then just notice and have your awareness. And
set your intentions.
Set your intentions, and we're all beings of the divine. Thank you so much for being with me. I know you could be anywhere in the world, whether you're listening in person or after. And thank you for your time. I'm sending you so much love and light. Bye for now.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.